Hi everybody and welcome to Adobe Live. We'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we are creating and streaming from today and paying our respects to elders past, present and emerging. My name is Flynn and I'm here with fantastic Rames Harikrishnasamy. Ramesh, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Flynn. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. Happy New Year. It's great to hang out with you. We're continuing this Year of the Tiger campaign, which we're really excited about. Happy Year of the Tiger to you. I love the red that you're wearing today.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very on theme. That's super cool. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. I just need to get rid of something that I have put over the top. We'll get rid of that. But yeah, it's so great to hang out with you. Hi, everybody in chat. If you are watching over on YouTube or anywhere else, and you want to say hello, and you have any questions while we're going along, you can jump over to behance.net/live. Love to hear from you. I can see Frank is in chat, Michael's in chat. Johanna's here looking after us, so if there's any useful links and things like that, she can share it. She's very helpful, and also a good question asker too as we're going along. But for those who might not be familiar with your work, can you give us like the quick kind of rundown, who you are, what you do, what sort of work you get into?
Sure. So I'm a digital artist, self-taught digital artist, I would say, because I'm a business student. I think not many people know this because the tons of artwork that I create, people literally thought I'm a design student. Again, what I do is that on the daytime, I'm a senior art director in a company called Mind Valley. And then on the nighttime, I'm a digital artist where I create NFTs and most of the time, I create digital artwork like photo manipulations and stuff. And yeah, it makes me happy every time I create artwork. So that's something I've been doing for past like 21 years now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a long time. I didn't realize you were just studying business either. I just assumed that it was something design related. So there we go. I learned something new today, which is great. And I feel like I've known you forever. So that's super cool. There's always something to learn from you. I'm going to jump over here. Like, what are we talking about? Year of the Tiger. So there's a bit of a campaign happening with Adobe. Like, it's an exciting time of year, particularly for our part of the world, to celebrate Chinese New Year, Year of the Tiger. Very brave, kind of courageous connotation this year, which I think we need. No matter what your situation is, it's been a tough couple of years. So hey, time to be brave, time to be courageous, and that's what we're here to celebrate. But what says that more than a tiger? But there is a campaign happening, and if you are in many of these Asia-Pacific countries, including South Korea, Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, Malaysia, Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand, Hong Kong, and Taiwan, you can actually enter a competition as well, create your own tiger-themed artwork with whatever tool you choose. It could be Photoshop. Maybe you'll pick up a few tips today from Ramesh. And there's $1,000 up for grabs, Creative Cloud subscription. And Adobe's also looking for some more insiders to get involved, which actually, Ramesh, you've been an insider many times. And so that's something super cool for like up and coming artists and creatives and things like that. So definitely check that out. And you can just, enter by using the hashtag, check out the terms and conditions and all that sort of stuff. But that's something we thought we'd piggyback on and get some amazing artists. We had Jeremy Lord on last week. We have fantastic Ramesh on this week hanging out with us. So if you have any questions and all that sort of stuff, please let us know in chat. That's enough from me. Should we jump into, are we starting with a blank canvas today? I never know what we're in store for with you.
Okay, sure. So this time around, I thought it would be nice to start something different. Most of the time, what happened is that I will straight away pick up all the stock images and then put things together. But for a start, I think it would be nice to just sketch things out to literally show to our audience, like, this is what we'll be creating so that they get the idea rather than, we start creating. Because I know at the back of my head, I already have this visual, but you guys haven't seen it yet. So it'd be nice to just do a simple sketch. So this is what I'm going to do. Okay, before I start talking about tiger, just want to tell you guys something about tiger. So in Malaysia, tiger literally is the national animal. And in our coat of arms of Malaysia, we literally have this tooth tiger on the left and right. So it's a big thing for me to actually create this manipulation, I think, based on the Malayan tiger as a Malaysian. So I'm proud.
Very cool. Yeah, I didn't actually know that, and you mentioned it before stream, so that's super cool. I knew it was a great idea to get you on. So you're a tiger fan. I've seen a lot of tiger artwork in your work, so obviously that makes a lot of sense. That's very cool. We have a kangaroo and an emu on our coat of arms.
Yeah. Okay, so first start, here's what I'm going to show. So main subject, obviously the tiger, and the tiger will be literally standing on a huge cliff. So the cliff will look like this. Again, this is just a rough draft, and we will have a tiger that looks like this. Over here, this is the head. Again, I'm a digital artist, so as you can see, I'm very bad in drawing, but I can do a rough sketch, right? So it will look like this, and then you have these eyes, then you have these ears, and then if you're wondering why is it looking downwards, there's a reason behind it, and the body goes like this. Okay, and then you have all these stripes, and then there's a tiger, and then there will be a main character, and here there's two main characters. Obviously tiger is the main character, and we have another person over here. It's a little girl called Mei Ling. So it's a character that I named her. She has a long hair like this, and she'll be sitting on the cliff and looking at the tiger. She will just put up her leg over the cliff, and she has this little basket that has a lot of mandarin orange in it.
Okay.
Interesting fact is that in this story, this tiger is a vegetarian tiger.
Right.
It eats mandarin orange. So there's a story behind it. Why am I doing this? Like also there's like a moon, and we will have like bamboo trees over here. So if you ask me why am I doing this story, is that it's there's like a bedtime stories that, I mean, when you're small, your mom will tell you. So this is based on that. So I tried to imagine mom of Mei Ling was reading like a book like many years ago, before she even sits here, saying that many years ago there was this tiger that used to go around this village saving them from bad energies, evil forces and all that. Right. So it's a myth, right? So for kids, they don't know it's a myth. Like they will just think that's real. So what happened is that once she grown up, which is now currently, she thought, okay, again, there's also a story that when the villagers like to offer as offering a mandarin orange for the tiger, because it adds up to the color of the tiger, which is equivalent to the color of the.
That's how it gets that orange color from eating the oranges.
Yeah. So I tried to figure out this. I tried to come up with this story, and then I thought it would be nice to have that. And then what happened is that one day before Chinese New Year, this little girl picked up all little mandarin oranges from their house. Again, usually during Chinese New Year, there'll be a lot of mandarin oranges without the parents knowing it. She went and sit at the corner because the village is at the mountain area, right? So she sat at the cliff, but it's a safe area, and she was just waiting and wishing to see the Malayan tiger. And the Malayan tiger came, because the meaning of the story is that if you believe in something, it will happen.
Nice.
Right? So that's the story behind it, and I thought it would be nice to picturize all this in photo manipulation. So yeah.
That's fantastic. That's so cool. I'm going to attempt to tell that to my daughter for her bedtime story. So I'll do my best.
Yeah.
That's great. We had a quick question from chat as we're moving along from Johanna. Great question. Do you usually sketch your composition digitally to plan or store ideas, or do you keep a sketchbook, or do you just have it in your head before you start?
I have it in my head.
Yeah.
That's why you can never see me sketch before I create anything, because it saves my time as well. So I just need to sit in front of my Photoshop, and I already know at the back of my head, this is the visual that I want. And I just go and look for the stock images that resembles my idea, and I get it done, because I don't have to show anybody my sketch, because I know at the back of my head, people just want to see my manipulation. So yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, so this is for our benefit. This is like a version of what you're thinking in your head. You're just kind of
Correct.
sketching it out so we can kind of get the understanding. Oh, that's super
Yeah.
cool.
And okay, just want to highlight a few things. For example, here you can see the tiger, and then you can see Mei Ling here sitting with the mandarin orange in a basket. So even the basket, I tried to look for a basket that's like a wooden, like something that the villagers will use so that it doesn't look so edgy. It has to look traditional. And we're gonna have a bit of like bamboo trees, leaves around it, and we have a maybe we'll have like a moon at the back, and there will be a mountain range at the background as well. And the overall color of this will look slightly bluish. If you notice around 7:30-ish, the sky will change from sunset colors to yellowish to dark blue, like the
Mm.
blue hue, and then turn to dark colors, right? So I thought it would be nice to have that. And to make the color pop up more, I'm gonna add in lanterns, which is hang around this top area here. So there'll be
Right.
lanterns.
That's really interesting. So thinking about the time of day or evening it is, how that would affect the light, and then what
Yeah.
you can put in the composition to show that, right? Like you've got some
Mhm.
foreground, you've got some background, you're thinking about the time of day. That's really interesting, like thinking about that from a compositional perspective, super early on, right?
Yeah.
So that you've got these elements that you can tweak and change to really help, add the color and add the time of day. That's fascinating.
Okay. I think it's super important for any artist to try out all the different colors of the day, the treatment, because it helps in terms of like skills as well. Like again, this is not a real image, right? Like for example, even manipulation that I'm going to put in, I might not know how the colors could be, but then because we all seen this literally outside our home, during the sunset and everything, we know how the colors is. I think that helps in terms of skills as well for you to replicate what you see into manipulation. Else, there's nothing else to learn, right? Again, every day is a learning day. So if you do this, it challenges yourself as well.
Nice.
Okay, cool. So roughly it will look like this. Okay, so we have tiger, da 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 da. So we're gonna get started. We have two parts. Part one, I'm gonna start with the tiger, with the cliff, and maybe the background. Let's see.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, let's jump straight into it.
And just a reminder, if you're joining us, feel free to ask questions as we're going along as well, and we'll do our best to answer them. But that's the good thing about doing this stuff live and not doing like a 10-minute kind of quick little video, is that you can ask us questions as we're going along. So I'll have lots of questions myself, but if you have any of your own, please feel free to ask away at behance.net/live. And it's always good to see who's watching and maybe tell us where you're from and all that sort of stuff. Do you have like any cool like folklore stories? I would love to hear them because I love hearing this stuff. I've never heard that story before, but it's such a cute like children's story kind of / fable, like mythological story that's where the the tiger gets the orange from. I love that. So anyone got any
I,
more? I'd love to hear it.
I literally got the idea yesterday while coming up with this concept, and I was like, you know, um, for me, artwork shouldn't just be an artwork; it should have a meaning behind it. So I thought it would be
Mm.
nice to have that story in it, and yeah, and I literally did research like what kind of name I'm gonna put, because I remember I have my Chinese friends named Mei Ling. I think it's a very traditional name, cute name for her, and I was just thinking if the tiger is vegetarian, what kind of fruit? And I literally bounced idea with my wife, just thinking what kind of fruits is easily to get and all that. So yeah.
Mm. That's cool.
So we have added in the cliff here. This is where the tiger gonna be, and of course the tiger is here.
So natural question to ask at this stage is, where are these images coming from? You're just kind of dragging them off from off stage for the stream. So yeah, where are they coming from? And like, do you store photos like locally and kind of drag them in when you use them and things like that? Or what's your approach
Sure.
to getting these cool
Okay.
images?
So what happened is that most of the time I will store them in a folder and I label them with my name of the idea, so that easier for me to go in. And the reason why I've made them into a folder reason is because there are times where I go back and reuse this assets for some other ideas. So it's always nice to reuse when you couldn't get the right stock images. So yeah, I usually store them in a folder, which is right beside me. There's another computer over here, and I'll just drag them.
Nice. Cool.
Cool. Now we're gonna just use the select subject already, and I'm gonna just deselect this, and ta-da! So we have the tiger, and it has to look slightly larger than this.
So Johanna in chat saying, well, most of my Swedish folk tales are very spooky. So I might save them for another time. Yeah, I think there's like German as well. There's like a lot of kind of like, some of those original like fairy tales were incredibly dark and like evil and things like that. But
right,
they've been softened a little bit over time to be a little bit nicer for the kids.
Okay, so we have positioned the tiger over here. And I'm gonna just make the overall manipulation slightly smaller. Yeah.
And to do that, you've just selected both layers there and just
Exactly.
selected them both, and then you can scale everything proportionately that way. Yep.
Yeah. Cool. And the reason why you can see like he's not like the full form, I put him at the side, is because again I want to play with the background as well as the foreground as well, so that the background can be seen, because it has its own story. Like for example, it adds the a different feeling to the image itself. So
yeah.
Cool. So I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna just do a bit of cleanup here. I'm gonna just zoom in and clean up the white patches over here. Again, you can see the cliff is in blue tone. We're gonna change that by adding color balance and all that, and also the tiger. I'm gonna increase the hue so that it's more orangey. I don't think so we need this part of the lake. We'll just hide that away. And let's zoom out. Okay. I do have a foreground, which I'm gonna add in so that I can see the overall color. So I'm gonna go back right at the bottom part of my layer. I'm gonna just drag in my background, which is this.
Oh, cool. And what size is your canvas? Like, is it, because I noticed that it's square. So I'm thinking, is this for Instagram? Like, is there a certain size that you usually start at? Do you start at 300 DPI in case you need to print it one day? Like, what's your approach when you're creating something? I know this is just for stream, but like in general.
Okay, in general, usually if you look at my Instagram, they're all created in the 2000 times 2000 pixels, 72 dpi. I don't really print them, create them in a large dpi, is because even on my store where I did like a soft copy download, you don't really literally need a huge one, as long as, because all of this, it's safe to be printed on a large canvas, as I can show you an example actually. Oh, it's right beside there. It's safe to actually print in a large form, not really like a billboard size, but still in a safe size. Right. Reason is because I don't want to, again, it's the end of the day, I don't want to add up space to my computer, because I know this is already, it works for me. So yeah.
Cool.
Next, I'm gonna go in and do a bit of adjustment onto the cliff. There are times where after you create a select subject, there will be a blurry effects like here. So there's a few ways to do this. You can either go in and start cleaning up your mask, or you can literally go to select subject again. I'm gonna just press W and go up here, select and mask. Can you see contrast over here? So contrast is something that you want to press, and you just look at the edge, what happens. So you'll be sharper. So without it, it will be slightly blur. And also if you want to, can you see the white outline over here? So
yeah, it's like a little bit of a white of the cutout.
Yeah. So it also takes up your time to go in and clean up. All you can do is you can either go in here, shift, can you see shift edge? So it will literally reduces the outline of the cliff by bit by bit, which is perfect. You're going to save some time. Oh, that's okay. There's a bit more I can clean up manually. I just click OK, and then zoom out. Voila, you're done. And I'm gonna go in here and do a manual fixing onto this. And a bit more here just to soften the edge.
And so do you use a feather, like a feathered kind of eraser for that? Is that what you're using?
Right now I'm trying to mask using
Right.
the just my brush, and I'll usually make my flow very little. As you can see up here, it's just 33%, and opacity is usually 100. Because I don't want any transparency. I just want it to again, I don't need to have a sharp edge around it. So if I do a sharp brush, and then it will just destroy everything, because again you're going to look fake. So that's
Right.
the reason why I use a flow.
Okay, so using like the flow instead of like opacity in this case.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. That makes sense.
And I am going to go back to the tiger and press on W, select subject, and I'm going to do some adjustment. As you can see here, the stomach area over here, I'm going to just clean that up. And I'm going to clean up here. I have a bit of fixing to do for the tiger's face, which I'm going to do that in a bit. Click OK.
That's interesting because there was a question from YouTube around that, asking, how do you approach capturing key details such as eyes and lighting in your work? Any tips? So yeah, you're talking about the face. Like, do you have to draw focus into the face, or are you going to draw focus into the little girl? Are there any sort of tips or things you need to keep an eye out for when doing that?
Okay, sure. Again, since I already know the story behind it. Again, it's all based on my imagination. How I make sure that they are the highlight of this is that, as you can see, there's a foreground and background, right? And the slides that I told you before, we can go back to the sketch and have a look. Here, you can actually see these slides that I add in here. They are intentional. Like it might look nice on my manipulation, just that the reason why I add here is that it will reflect also on the tiger and the girl and everything. So there will be a glow. There's some sort of a glow on the foreground. Whereas the background, even though there's already a mountain range and everything, they're already in blue hue. So I don't have to worry so much. I will probably make them slightly blur later. Again, they are just a supporting role in this manipulation.
Right.
So I already know the main subjects is these two, tiger and mailing.
Great. That was a good question. Thanks for the question there.
Yeah, that's a good question. And that's that. Okay. I'm just refining to make sure the details are all there on the tiger before I add on more. Like I change the color balance and all that.
Right.
Okay. Cool. That works. And it's time to change the color hue. So this is again, something that I like to do, which is the color lookup. So we're going to start off with that.
This is something we've done in previous streams. It's always kind of blown everyone's mind, right? That's interesting to see you doing it this early on. So yeah, maybe if you could give us the rundown on why you like this feature so much.
Okay, sure. Okay, let me just undo this, just delete this so that I can show you guys how it's done. So all you have to do is, first of all, you go into color adjustments. Right under the channel mixer, there's a color lookup. The reason why I like is that it kind of adds up color to the overall image, where I don't have to go in and change one by one. I can do a color balance for each one of these stock images, but it will take up my time. To add is equivalent to Instagram filter. Right? If you go to Instagram filter, if you have an image, the color is not so, people start adding filters to make it look better. Similarly, color lookup acts like that. Just that here, they have a way better color hues. Like, for example, you have like horror blue, and then you also have edgy amber. Again, it creates the orangey filter. Again, I didn't even change a single thing. It's just a click of a button. So all this. So it will be nice to explore all this. You can also have the moonlight, which I'm going to explore now itself. You can see it's already giving you the feeling. Right? It's a matter of bringing up all those colors. So by adding all these lanterns and everything, you start seeing the color to pop up more. So we also have a day from night, and we also have the soft warm, We have the teal contrast. We also have the tension green. Again, all these colors help in a way that, it
it's just so
fasten up the process.
crazy. It's just so
Yeah.
crazy, like how much it does to like a single. Like, there's only 3 images in here, right? Kind of cut
Yeah.
them out and put them together, but the entire look and feel and how quickly it is to like completely change everything that you're seeing, but also without like not in a non-destructive way that you can very very quickly just kind of change, which allows you to
Right.
be really creative, allows you to try different things, and as you said, your time is very important. You're very important, man. You got lots to do. Got like
So
10
yeah, I
jobs and
just
studying and 2 kids and all sorts of stuff. And yeah, you need time. Time is very valuable. So anything that can kind of give you a bit of a shortcut is very useful indeed.
correct. There is never a wrong way to do it. Again, back again, the reason why these features are created, again, to save your time so that you can keep creating new things each time. So rather than go through a traditional way, color balance, of course, you have a lot of time, then go ahead. If you don't, then this is the way to do it.
Nice.
So here, what I did was, as you can see, the color lookup was right on top. Again, it's nice and everything. Again, I'm going to do a 2 color lookup tweak. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag the color lookup right at the bottom. Again, put it right on top of the background. Again, the color dim. And I'm going to group my stock images, which is the cliff and the tiger. I'm going to put them into a folder called subjects. And again, I'm going to duplicate color lookup. I'm going to drag it up onto my subject and I'm going to mask it. By doing this, reason I'm doing this is because, again, I have a control of the foreground without affecting the background.
Right.
Yeah. So this way, then I know my background, okay, no matter what, just leave it as it is. But I need to bring in the colors of the foreground. So this is how I tweak it.
Oh, that's very cool. So you've duplicated the color lookup, and you've got one for the foreground and one for the background now. But it's
Yes.
that's really cool. Okay, I like it.
The color lookup for the top one can be adjusted. Of course, I can do 2 at the background, but I just want to leave it the way it is. And I'm going to just adjust this so that I get the color that I want. And now I am going to adjust the colors of the tiger. In order to do that, I just click on the tiger and click Control U for hue and saturation. I'm going to increase the colors. Again, the reason why I'm going to increase the colors is because, again, Mandarin orange will come to the picture later. So I'm going to make sure that it matches. Okay, then now time to work on the cliff. So there are many ways to do this. What I'm going to do is, first, I'm going to add in brightness and contrast, mask that cliff out. And because it's a night scene and everything, again, I know the light source is coming from top. And also, because she's sitting at the cliff area, but there's actually a field underneath, which we can't be seen. And the villages are all around. So there will be a 2 light coming in. So light coming in from the back slightly and from the top. So I have that in my mind. So I'm going to work accordingly. I'm going to just first darken the cliff first. Okay, that's number 1. I'm going to now, within that mask, I'm going to go in and do a color balance change to the cliff. Here, I'm going to just bring in a bit of bluish like that. And a bit of redness like this. And time to work on the shadow for the tiger. Again, within the cliff itself, I'm going to create a new layer, drag it top, and I call this shadow for tiger. And okay, shadows. When it comes to shadows, a lot of people have this problem of like, how do I make sure that shadow looks real? Like if a shadow hits on the cliff, always make sure that your treatment of your layer is not normal, but soft light. Let me show you the difference. Yeah.
Not multiply.
Not multiply.
Okay.
So if I have normal, what it does is that, can you see let me just zoom in. You will see the black tint right on top of the cliff. I don't want that. I want the shadow part of the cliff. So in order to fix that, you just change normal to soft light. Can you see? You start seeing the detailing of the cliff. So we're going to do that instead. Okay, I'm going to redo this.
So if you have like texture, like the rock, like, you have this cliff texture that you you know, if you're
Yeah.
painting just black pixels across the top, you're going to lose all of that texture, right? So it's going to look a little bit fake. But by having the soft light and putting that in, you're kind of painting over the top of them, and the texture can still shine through. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. Because you again, end of the day, you want your manipulation looks real, and in order to achieve that, again, always do R&D as well. Like go outside, just stand on your like a corridor, your house corridor, and look at how the sun hits you and how the shadow reflects on the floor. It won't be like pitch black. It will be a mixture of the texture of your floor and your shadow. So yeah, examples are
Nice.
all around you. Yeah. Okay, I'm adding this. You can see the shadows are coming. Just nice. And
I have
also
another.
another.
Oh, sorry, go.
Uh,
You go.
sure, go ahead.
Oh, I just have another question from chat. If
Yeah.
you're up for that, here's a fun question. Do you have a favorite time of day to create your pieces in?
Nighttime, maybe around I would say like 11 to maybe I fix my time. I don't go beyond because also it's good to train your like I would say skills and appreciate time. So make sure you fix two hours and you go like I will do my best to create an artwork in 2 hours. By
Mm.
doing that, you exercise your brain to think faster. Else
Mm.
you'll be like, oh, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna come back and continue, and then the next day you're gonna say the same, and at the end of the day probably you will never get it done. So yeah.
Nice.
So now I am going to do more cleanup onto the lake. Oh, there's also another tips when it comes to shadow. There's two shadows that you have to add. One is the overall shadow at the background, and also one that's very close to the feet of your subjects.
Mm.
Even if you stand close to the floor, you will notice there's actually a darker tint of shadows at the bottom, and then there will be a softer one spread out. So yeah.
And do you ever, because you're thinking in your mind about where the light
Mm.
is coming from, therefore where the shadow is going to show. I know some illustrators will actually draw like a light in the corner to remind themselves where it's coming from. Do you ever do that, or you don't bother? You just know where it is.
I did do that before this. Again, try to train myself. But then as you days goes by, I don't do that anymore because again, back of my head, I already know what I'm
Mm.
doing, so I don't need it anymore. So yeah.
So it's just a lot of practice, and now you can kind of skip that step, which speeds up your
Yeah, yeah,
process once more.
yeah. Again,
Yep.
anything to make sure that I can creating without wasting any more time. So yeah. Cool. So that's done. I'm gonna add in some shadow on top of the tiger. So again, soft light, not normal. And for this, there are two ways. Again, you can use brush, or another way to do it is using gradient. So again, if you look at my gradient over here, up here, there is of course there's black and white and everything. I'll usually like to take the transparent, one part of the transparent thing, and just put it just like this.
Mm.
So you can do that, and then another one, what you can do is you can use the normal gradient, but then lower down the opacity. So we're going to apply that very quickly, and then I'm going to lower it down.
And that's only affecting the tiger that you've already
Correct.
created the
Yeah.
clipping mask for. Yeah.
Yes. So that's that, and that's perfect. And I am going to now I better name this shadow, and then shadow.
Naming layers. It's good to see.
Just in case, there are times where I create like hundreds of layers, and I'm like, help me. And then yeah, it comes with the practice, of course. So yeah.
Yep.
And then color lookup, I'm gonna just increase my blue a bit more. Okay, so now that we have the cliff and everything, I'm gonna add in shadow for the cliff now. So again, soft light, B for my brush. So I'm gonna just darken this area, the inner part, and a bit here. Again, back in my head, I already imagine Mei sitting over here. I'm gonna just darken the side part of the cliff. This again, the reason why shadows and highlights are super important, as you can see, I can do before and after. So we're gonna just hide quickly, like hide all the stray layer. You can see the difference.
Yeah, it's a
Right?
huge difference, isn't
Yeah.
it? Like watching you do
Yeah.
it, it seems very subtle, but when you turn everything off, it's night and day.
Yeah.
Like it's so different. How do you
That's
know?
often.
How do you know if you've gone too far? Like how do you know? Like, I obviously from experience, but what
Yeah.
you know, what's something to keep an eye out for? Like over kind of adding shadows or over adding layers to a thing. Yeah, is there anything to look out for? Or yeah, because I could imagine there's so many different ways to add a shadow and so many techniques you've already shown. Yeah, how do you
Mhm.
know when you've gone too far?
You'll just know.
It'll
You'll
start
just
looking
know.
fake, or you've spent
Yeah,
an hour,
yeah,
or
yeah.
you spent an hour like shading a rock or
And
something, and
then,
you know.
so yeah, like I said, set time, and then, but when you start adding and removing shadows, you should know, okay, is it too much already? Step back and see, does it make sense? Yeah. So it's a lot of like talking to yourself. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh. So what I just did was I went to brightness and contrast, and I mask that brightness and contrast masking so that I can bring back the light of the cliff. Again, why there's a light is because you have to remember, if you go back to our sketch, there is a lantern on top, and there's also the light coming from the background. So that's the reason why the light, I've been adding it back there.
Right.
And now what I'm going to do is I am going to create a new layer, and I'm going to bring in some stock image, which is the bamboo trees,
Okay,
the
so the
leaves.
second I see this, I think this is going to be really hard to cut out. Like this is going to be really hard to create a clipping mask. So I'm
Okay.
interested to see your technique. I want to see how many clicks it takes you to cut this out, because I
Okay.
get a bit scared because the leaves are slightly transparent, right?
Yeah, right.
The leaves are a
Especially
little bit
here, right?
transparent.
Oh,
There's all
okay,
these
okay.
little things. This gives me like my
Uh-huh.
little junior graphic designer a heart attack. Like when I was, now I know we have better tools now to do it. And I'm sure you've got some techniques for this. But
Sure.
that's my initial feeling. Too hard
Okay.
for me.
So, so if you remember back then, I mean, at the back of my head, I have this bamboo trees. Again, I tried to imagine some over here and here. They are at the background, so I don't have to worry so much on the detailing. What I'm going to do is, again, thank God I found a stock image where it's white background. Actually,
Mm.
there's a good thing why it's on white, because when you do a normal blending into darken or multiply, it will just vanish. There you go. Here. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to adjust the transparency of it. It's just there. Again, I'm gonna just drag this at the bottom. There you go, like that. Right on top of my color lookup. And I'm gonna adjust the overlay here to, there you go, here. Ta-da!
That's awesome.
Okay, so by doing this, again, the leaf is transparent. I can see a bit of background because I don't have to worry so much because it's just there as a background. So I don't have to worry so much on the detailing of that.
Right.
So yeah. So then the picture is coming to, oh, cool. I can imagine the colors already. I'm gonna do a bit of exploration on the colors. I'm gonna go in down here. I'm gonna add in more color lookup. And this time I'm going to add in edgy amber. And
And
here, wow, now it looks like a very classic looking Chinese art. Okay, so the reason why I'm adding that is because I don't want it to be like really, really like 100% blue. I just gonna add in a bit of that tint, uh, orange a bit, so that it looks more realistic. There you go. Oh wow, I love the color already. Perfect. This is there, and I am going to do more color adjustment into the tiger. What I'm going to do is I'm gonna add in shadows, create new layer. Not here. Up here. There you go. And let me try. soft light because it has to look darker, and especially at this area over here. Again, you must always imagine. That's something that I've been saying for all my stream. Always imagine you're there looking at this. Is it right? No. Then what is the problem?
Mm.
And I'm gonna go in here and adjust the white patch over here. That's a bit more.
We have another question from chat if you're ready for it.
Yeah, I'm ready.
The stories you create with your own imagination and retelling those that you grew up with are incredible. Have you always worked this way, and what made you decide on this path?
Wow, so deep. Okay, so I've been always like this. I remember, telling stories a lot when I'm small. And again, during my recent interview as well, they asked the exact same question. How it happens is that, again, since I like to tell stories since I was small, and I probably will exaggerate a bit. Like, for example, if I was on the way from school to home, I saw an accident, and when I tell the story to my mom, I'll probably exaggerate it so much that it probably look a bad accident, a very bad one. But then probably it's not so bad. It's just someone just fell off the cycle,
Right.
right? So, but when you add all this effects, I'll say in words, it adds more into the detailing part of the story. Like to highlight, like for example, the girl with the orange basket, because I want it to look a bit animated as well. Again, when I tell stories like this, people will start imagining at the back of their head. Probably the basket will be in a different size, right? But for me, it has to look like this. So yeah, just that. There's no practice. It's just me telling stories. I always been like this, I think.
That's great. Well, like it seems like it comes in handy like a lot of the time, like for like where the light's coming from and the story and why the girl's there and all that sort of thing seems to help you during the composition phase. It's not just an excuse or creating your own brief or anything. Like it seemed to actually really help and benefit you. The time of day, why she's there, like the relationship between the tiger and the oranges and the little girl and the village and everything. Like even things that are off stage that you don't see can still impact what you do see.
Correct.
Yeah, which is very interesting.
Okay, so now I'm gonna bring in lights. So far, what I did was I just want to fix the lighting of my artwork without adding any source of light yet. So now I'm gonna add in my first source of light. If you remember, there was actually in my sketch there was a moon over here at the back here, right? This is the moon.
Right.
So I'm gonna, since there's already a bamboo tree here, I'm gonna try to add the moon at the back here. Okay, I'm gonna bring in my moon. One, two, go. There you go here. So that's the moon. You can already see something like effect. So I'm gonna just place this here. I know there's a sunset and all that, but then this moon just add to the feel of this particular manipulation. So I'm gonna just leave it there, and I'm gonna do a bit of blending. You can see while I scroll this down, I can see or start seeing which blending I like the most. Usually I like screen, but for now I'm gonna just fix into something else. I would probably try this. So it's called lighten, and I'm gonna just leave it there. Make it a bit smaller. And I'm gonna change the hue of this so that it matches the background, or we can just drop that in. Nope, we're not gonna drop that in because the colors are out. So color balance, color hue, I'm gonna just desaturate a bit to match the blue at the background. There you go. There you go. This.
And I'll let you and the audience know as well. We've got about 10 minutes left today.
Okay,
and
cool.
We'll be back. Perfect. We'll be back on Thursday, so back in 2 days for part 2. So we're not finishing up today, but if you have any questions, now's the time to get them in. And also just for Ramesh as well, 10 minutes. Time goes very fast. So
yeah, especially you are enjoying it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, what I'm doing is I'm gonna just remove the glow because there's clouds all around it, which is perfect. I think it's nice. Just that I don't need to interfere my background. What I'm doing is now I'm just masking, as you can see, just around the moon. Yeah. Perfect. Again, time to play with lighting. We have 10 minutes, which is perfect, so that I can add a bit of the moonlight onto the tiger. So in order to do that, there's few. You can use the overlay soft light. Color dodge will work better as well. Let's see if that works. Okay, yeah, it works. Just go in here. And I'm gonna just increase my opacity for this one and the flow so that it's more intense.
Right. So
Again,
we're talking
yeah.
about doing this on the rocks, and you had the opacity at 100%, so you didn't want any opacity at all. But in this case, I think it looks like it's down to about 50%. So
Yeah.
what is the reasoning for that difference in why you would use opacity, for the same technique but on different
Okay.
pieces?
Okay. You see, I did mention in my manipulation, there's two main subject, which is the tiger and mailing. If you want them to be more embossed, I would say you need to make sure that the shadows are more harsh, slightly harsh on the foreground. That's the reason why I increases the opacity and the flow, so that it's more 3D. Okay, if I zoom out, just look at this, and if I hide my lighting that I just added, look at this, right? So you can see, right? There's a difference. So if I use soft light, let's see. Good questions. We're gonna use soft light, but I'm gonna just color. It doesn't give that much of effect because it's very dull
Right.
with the exact same setting. So it's very important to use to know how to use this on a different subject as well, because I don't want the cliff to be a highlight. Obviously,
Right.
the cliff, the background, and the bamboo tree, the leaves are just supporting role. They are there to beautify the picture, but I want to make sure that the main subject is the highlight.
Great. Yeah, that makes sense.
Go again. Very important. Need to know. Okay, fine. The moonlight is at the back. Where does the head? So maybe the body part over here. Maybe a bit here. Increase the size. Perfect. Getting into the picture. Okay, this is perfect. And then I am going to add in the lantern. Oh no, what? I would wait for the next part
You're
to
gonna
add
need some more
that.
time to get
Yeah,
into the
yeah,
lanterns. Yeah.
yeah. So this is good again because the cliff is there. I'm gonna go back to the cliff um, layer, and right on top of the cliff here, I would put this as the moonlight. And let's change this to, of course, color dodge, and then change my brush, and then edit here. Just at the edge of this cliff, not so much on the surface.
Nice. Michael says, beautiful work, Rames. And
Thank you, thank you.
Ruth says, I love the way the moonlight is reflected in their top profile as well. So I think
Again,
correct me if I'm wrong, but is that the top of the
yeah.
tiger you're talking about, Ruth? Like how the moonlight is kind of hitting the
Here?
top? Yeah, I think so.
I would like to edit the cliff a bit more, so I'm gonna go back to the cliff, and then adjust the rough side of the cliff. Okay, that's perfect. That's that. Again, also tips. Watch a lot of like a movie, animation movie, and all that. You probably will learn in terms of shadow because they use and animated especially because they use the 3D lighting, and you get to see the correct lighting. If there's a sun hitting on the subject, and how does it reflect on the floor and all that. So yeah, watch a lot of movies. Yeah.
Watch a lot of movies. I like that.
Yeah.
Watching like movies over and over again. It's like I'm researching, just researching.
Right. That's why when I watch movie, right, even though the story is not so, I watch because I want to know the technique. Like at the back of my head, I always wonder, oh, probably they did this, probably they did this, and then you want to just come back to your computer and try out. is that achievable by yourself and all that. So yeah.
And this is like with VFX and like digital, like,
Yeah,
you know, creating
yeah.
digital scenes and things. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Is there any particular movie that like really inspires you that you think like is just visually like very impressive?
I would say, wow, my God, there's so many. I think the recent one I watched was Dune.
Oh
Is that how
yeah,
you?
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
saw that too. Yeah, it's
Oh
pretty
my God,
amazing.
so beautiful! It's
Yeah.
so beautiful. I can't wait for the part two. But it's just you see how the visionary the director is, right?
Mm.
Again, at times it's really hard to know which one is fake and which is not. You can see a lot of like sands, and you always wonder if the sand is real. And when it blows, because again, by watching all this movie, it triggers your brain also to think differently. So
Mm.
yeah, watch a
Yeah,
lot of movies.
absolutely. It's quite interesting between like VFX and real FX. Like, and sometimes they actually do it real because it's easier to get it right by doing it
Hmm.
real than it might not be. I don't know if anyone's seen the Lord of the Rings teaser intro thing, and it looks like VFX, but it was actually real. They just shot it like and did like real lighting and things like that. It's very cool.
Right.
Check it out if you haven't seen it. But there was a lot of argument whether it was real or all digital.
Oh,
Turns out it
okay.
was actually real. But it's interesting that we're at a time where it's quite hard to tell.
Okay, so one last part here before I just gonna add in glow to my moon. Again, the reason is because I reduce the clouds all around, and there's a glow, of course, involved in that clouds. So I'm gonna
Mm.
just add in manually over here, as you can see before and after, which is perfect. Okay, cool. And how long more we have?
I've got about three minutes left to be
Okay,
specific.
okay, okay. It's perfect to just stop here before I add any more manipulation because
Yeah.
I think I'll go crazy then.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we can sit back and kind of recap as well. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I would love to do that.
Okay, great.
Okay, so I'm gonna turn off all the special effects layer so that you guys get to see how far we have come. So I've hide the moonlight, the color lookup, original color. I'm gonna
Wow.
just now
The
on the subject
difference
as
of
the
the color
moon.
of the tiger is incredible.
Yeah, and I'm gonna remove the shadow on the cliff, the brightness of the cliff, shadow, the bamboo tree, the moon, and the color lookup for the background. This
Wow.
is how far we have come within a 1 hour. So yeah, it's
Mm.
just this how we started, based on the sketch that I've done earlier. So for next week, the best part will be the lantern, how the glow of the lantern reflects on the tiger and Mei, and we get to see Mei how she looks like from the back,
Mm.
and we will see how we're going to change her hair color. So this is the tips, and also because I will be bringing in a child that is a different race, and I'll just change them according to the race that I wanted to. Again, it's best to work on different settings of the Photoshop, how we can change the subject as well. So I think it's very interesting.
Oh, that is super cool. Yeah, it's amazing how far you've come in a very short amount of time. And so many different tips and like, you know, little, I shouldn't say little, but like techniques that are used and why to use them in specific situations. I think it's always one of the things that I always notice from watching you work is the plethora of different tools you'll use, different techniques you'll use depending on the situation. There's not one tool for like everything. Like you really kind of use a little bit of this, a little bit of that to kind of get exactly, you know, the result that you want. And I think it's a good thing for us to learn as well. As you know, even we tend to get comfortable with our techniques, but you know, there's a variety of techniques, and it's great to see them all utilized for all sorts of different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But that will do us. I think we are out of time. So
Okay.
thank you so much for spending time with us, Ramesh. And we'll be back on Thursday. So we'll be back in 2 days, Australian Eastern Standard Time. It's 2 p.m. You're in Malaysia, and I believe we started at 11 a.m.
Yep.
Time zones are lots of fun. You might be in the US, and it might be Monday night. Who knows? But we'll be back in 2 days with the next part of this series. Thank you very much so much for spending time with us.
Thank you, Flynn. Thanks everybody for asking good questions. See you guys on Thursday.
See you Thursday.